dynamic authors of the day. Her name is Teresa Shields Parker, and she lost over 250 pounds. She's a series of books, and she has a series of opportunities to help you get past all those sweet and sugar cravings. So while you're working out and while you did your fitness and you've already hydrated yourself and got your towel, now take some time out and let's listen to what Teresa Shields Parker has to say about sweet grace. Thank you so much for joining me on The Go with Joanna Ward.
Thank you.
Welcome, Teresa. This is not our first time meeting.
No.
I had a privilege of interviewing you before, and you have an amazing, amazing testimony. And you, the reason this sweet thing is going with all of your books is tell me about how much you weighed and one of the things that was causing that weight gain, and then how God allowed you to be delivered.
Yeah. I weighed 430 pounds at one point in time. And I just, I knew I had an issue with sugar and comfort foods. I knew that, but I had no idea how to lay that down, how to get through that issue, because the cravings were really strong and the temptations just seemed to take over. 1 Corinthians 10:13 tells us that God will make a way out of temptation. Well, I didn't want a way, okay? I didn't. To be real honest, I didn't want him to give me away. And if he did give me away, I would just say, oh, no, that's okay. I'll just this one time,
right,
I'll do that. Back in 1977, I had started gaining weight. I wasn't going to get to where it got by that point in time. Maybe 250 pounds is what I weighed at that point in time. And I cried out to God and I said, God, I've got a mountain of flesh on my body. How do I move this mountain? You say if I have faith, the grain of a mustard seed, I can move a mountain. How does this happen? And he gave me a really simple plan. And I wrote it in my journal. I wrote it in my journal at least 5 times throughout the years. Stop eating sugar, eat more meats, fruits, and vegetables, and stop eating so much bread. And I said, God, great plan. If I could do that, I would lose weight. And it was just like I tried in my own strength with various plans. If they had some element of that in it, then I would try it, and I would do really well for a short period of time. I could lose 100 pounds pretty easy. I have lost 100 pounds many times, but as soon as I lost the weight, I would reward myself because it was a diet, a short-term fix for a long-term problem. And I would gain it back plus more every single time. And I got to a point where I'm like, I'm done with diets. I'm done with this. It's worse on my body to do the yo-yo thing. I'm just gonna stop. And then I was in a harmful life patterns group that a friend of mine was running, who is a counselor. And there were other people in the group, alcoholics, drugs, people with problems with pornography, and those of us with weight issues. And he was telling his story of getting free of alcohol. And in the middle of his story, he said, alcohol is 1 molecule away from sugar. Alcohol is liquid sugar. And that was it. It was like all the pieces of my life came together like a magnetic puzzle, and it all came into place. I saw clearly, I am a sugar addict. I don't even know if it's a thing. And back then, at that point in time, it wasn't in the news a lot like it is now. But I knew it was true of me because I couldn't say no to sugar. But the reason I couldn't say no is just what God told me back in 1977. Stop eating sugar. Okay, so if I stop and get it out of my system, I'm not going to crave it anymore. And that is true. That happened with me. It maybe took, it was about a year before I was able to really get it out of my system and the cravings ceased. There were still temptations after then, and I wasn't perfect with it. But every temptation, I saw it, every failure I saw as an opportunity to learn what not to do the next time and how to go forward on the journey, because I was committed at that point in time. I knew what my issue was, and I knew what God had told me. And so the experience that I had of His grace coming in as strength when I admitted my weakness, He says that in 2 Corinthians 12:9, my grace is enough, it's all you need, for my strength comes into its own in your weakness. That's what the Message version says, and I like that because it's like, you know, when we have a weakness, that verse also says, it has two I am statements. I am weak and I am strong. How is that possible? Because I'm both of those. I am weak in my humanity, but with God, only with God am I strong.
So, you had a turning point where you went cold turkey because, you know, if alcoholics go cold turkey, it really, really wreaks havoc on their systems,
Right.
almost to the point of death. So did you gradually replace things with sugar or just cut back until it was cut out? How did you do that over the year?
I used what I call stop-start. So your brain has neural pathways, and they're well established, and you can't really get rid of a neural pathway. The only thing you could do is rewrite that neural pathway.
Right.
So I had a neural pathway that said, go to sugar for comfort, go to sugar when you're overwhelmed, go to sugar when you're happy, go to sugar when you're sad. Any emotion you have that you don't want to have at the time, go to sugar.
Right.
And even happiness I didn't want to be really high. I didn't want to be really low. I wanted to be right here, even keel, because I thought that's what a good Christian was, right?
Right.
We don't get all excited, and we don't get all
Is that Methodist?
sad.
Because I'm a Baptist.
Oh,
Hallelujah! We get turned up about Christ. So is that
no.
a Methodist thing, or how does that work? How does that work? I don't even know how to turn down for what? But go on. So you say we're supposed to be this way as a Christian.
Yeah.
But that's why I like a Christ-like character more than Christian, because Jesus was never just kind of monotone. He was always starting and stopping stuff and agitating people and doing things. So that Christian thing is got to be redefined.
And it goes to the next book that I wrote, in Sweet Freedom, about how God showed me these emotional issues can affect how we, you know, and we really buy into some lies.
You mean emotional issues like the things you're going through comforted with sugar?
Yeah, but any emotion, you know, like any lie we believe. So the lie I believed that you just well defined, and it wasn't because I grew up in a sedate church. I actually grew up in a charismatic church.
Right.
So it was seeing the over enthusiasm that, and my dad, even though he was charismatic, was the most godly man I knew, and he was very quiet. He wasn't loud. He was quiet, and he was even keel. And so I wanted to be like him.
Right.
And I
want to be
didn't
like David. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Hallelujah! Go on.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, this all goes to how we grow up and who our role models are and how that affects us as kids.
Right. So you're referring to the scripture where Jesus says that, where Paul says, there's a thorn in my flesh. A messenger of Satan is sent to buffet me. And he prayed to God 3 times to take it away. But you said you weren't even trying to go there because you were in love with, let's just say, Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah.
People say it's good. Is that right? Like if you ask the average person who is, I guess, unknowingly addicted to sugar, they're like, Krispy Kreme donuts are good. But tell me, Teresa, because you're really the person here, there's nothing good about Krispy Kreme.
You know, in my coaching groups, I have several online coaching groups. In my coaching groups, people come in and they, you know, after a couple of sessions, they realize, okay, I need to give up sugar. I'm realizing that that's what I need to do. But I'm grieving this fact, and I'm mourning the fact that I will never be able to have this wonderful taste of sugar in my life again, and how can I exist without having it? And I tried to show them. I actually have a little short article on my blog post called Goodbye Sugar, a short story, where sugar is like, you know, your lover that's cozying up to you and trying to give you all these good things, and then you realize that he's really killing you. And so, or has a plan for your death, basically. And so I try to show them that sugar is an uncomfortable comfort.
Right.
It does comfort us for a short time, but then it spikes us, and we need more the next time to get to that same place.
Right.
So the thing I did, I kind of sidetracked before your question before, but the thing I did to go through the process of getting rid of sugar was I started with my trigger food, and my trigger food was candy. And so I stopped eating candy, and I started something else in its place. And what I started was exercise 3 times a week. Walking in the water was my exercise of choice. We have a great pool, indoor pool in our community, has a lazy river you can go against, you can go with the current. It's really good for exercise. And so that's what I started. But I did a very smart goal, a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goal of when I was going to do it, how long I was going to do it, how I was going to get there, when I was going to put it on my calendar. Not just, I'm going to exercise 3 times a week. I'm going to exercise in the water 3 times a week. I'm going to go at this time, and I'm going to be there to do that.
And that literally took away your sweet craving? Like you went from eating, let's just say, I don't know, mints, candy mints, small Snickers, to exercising sick as place?
Well, here's the deal. It doesn't take away your craving,
right,
but you put firm boundaries around the negative thing.
Okay.
And it's like, if I tell you you're not going to eat sugar, then you're going to think sugar, sugar, sugar. It's like not thinking about a pink elephant. That's all you think about. So that's why we can power through it for a short period of time, but we can't sustain it.
Right.
So we have to put something in its place. So we put a firm boundary. I put a firm boundary around candy, very identifiable. I knew what it was. I wasn't going to fool myself, because we do that with ourselves. We talk ourselves into it.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I want success with this. I wanted to stop all sugar, but I was afraid to go there first, because I was afraid I wouldn't have success. And the person that was leading our group was telling us, you need something small to do first that's identifiable, that you will have success with.
Right.
And your start is what you focus on. So you put your focus in there, because that's what's going to rewrite that neural pathway.
Got it.
I didn't understand how it went together. I didn't even know if it went together.
Right.
But I realized later that I was going to candy for quick energy, because I was bored a little bit, because my mind was foggy and I thought maybe that would clear it up. It was just faulty thinking about all the reasons I was going to sugar. But exercise gave me the energy, it gave me the clarity, it gave me the stamina. It did all of those things in a much better way than the candy did.
So there you go. Exercise, like we did earlier, can actually help eliminate those sweet, sugary cravings or addiction, as Teresa so graciously told us about sweet grace. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Not just get rid of sugar cravings, but anything that stops you from being all that God called you to be. John 10:10 says that Jesus, the thief, the enemy of your soul, comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but Jesus Christ has come that we might have life and have it more abundantly. So remember, God's grace is sweet, but that don't mean you have to eat a lot of sugar. Stay focused and make sure you get on the move away from all that bad food. Take care. I'll see you guys next time.